What's going on, YouTube fam? It's your boy Tony 2 times, and we back with another episode of the Baltimore Way. So this part 2 right here, episode 2. And tonight we're gonna talk about Maurice Peanut King, you feel me? So let's get right into it. When you hear talks of Charm City, aka Harm City, Baltimore, Maryland, aka Baltimore Murderland, you think of the Wire, the Corner, Blue Crabs, club music, and a lot of drug dealing. One man had the city on lock back in the day. We talking about the 70s and the 80s, when they drove long Cadillacs, wore bell bottoms, fly hats, and fly collars. Peanut King was the man in the midst of it all. Maurice was the stylish, slick talking, vicious, street smart guy that hailed from the tough streets of Baltimore, Maryland. Peanut rose through the ranks and was well respected up and down the East Coast. With a team of savages willing to do whatever it took to get that bag, Peanut King was said to have a $25 million a year business selling heroin on Huffman and Holbrook in East Baltimore. With Peanut having a block that was booming and having 7 to 10% pure heroin, while other dealers had about 3 to 5. People were coming from all over to get the product just so they could flip it and double their money, but it all worked out in Peanut's favor. The Peanut King mob was not petty street hustlers, only selling $70 bags or weight. They would not even entertain a $20 bill. Peanut and his crew supplied the whole Baltimore. It was money in the city, and Nut was the man. With the nice cars and women, pocket full of hundreds, taking trips weekly to Atlantic City to gamble, the city was rooting for Peanut. It was something different about the 5'9", 180-pound man driving a DeLorean before people even knew what that was, the first one in the city to have one. Peanut also had a lot of businesses and put his money back into the neighborhood, buying a gym in the heart of the hood, where Nut would conduct meetings and even had a feature to control the weather. If Nut wanted it to rain, it rained. Baltimore police was stunned by what they seen. They never seen the man with so much power, respect, and money. He was like the Puffy of his generation. But Peanut was more than a drug dealer. This man was a marketing genius. He owned clubs and businesses. He was reinvesting in the hood and giving back. People looked at Nut like a Robin Hood figure, jumping out at clubs with $150 slippers, $40,000 pinky rings. By 1981-82, he took over the whole city of Baltimore, bailing people out of jail, paying people's rent. He was very smart and could read people very well. Nut recruited young guys who he would buy mopeds and beepers to make the business move. He would make them dress up so they wouldn't look like street thugs. Nut paid the youngest $500 a week and even made them stay in school. Nut had it where as though if you weren't hustling for him, you weren't moving nothing in the city. But as we all know, all good things must come to an end. Nut was getting too big, buying too much property, getting too much money. Nut had his hands in everything, and the police felt helpless. It was said Peanut was bigger than the mayor in Baltimore City because he took care of the ghetto and the people of Baltimore. Pulling up in U-Hauls and the projects, giving away toys and money. With lawyers to launder his money, it all looked legit, but Peanut would soon fall. The feds swooped in and figured out the operation. Nut was locked up, and the judge gave him 50 years and said he made money off the human misery and suffering of people. Nut returned home after serving 37 years in prison. Welcome home, Peanut King. Yeah, man, this story crazy, man. Like, I can't believe I ain't did a video on Peanut King yet. Like, he definitely a Baltimore legend. Like I said, I don't glorify the streets. I don't glorify hustling. Y'all heard the end game. I always give y'all the end game. I know y'all heard all the glitz and glam, but at the end, he got 50 years. And that also said he wasn't trying to steer the generation under him astray. He felt real bad about what he did. But y'all got to think, this was the 70s and 80s. These dudes made a lot of money. $25 million, like back then, that's equivalent to probably like $100 million nowadays. Like, this man had a DeLorean before people even knew what that was. Like, We hear rappers talk about DeLoreans and stuff like that now, but he had this back then, and he made a lot of money. You feel me? He did. And one thing I like about Nut's story, he was a businessman. You don't really hear too much about murder. I'm sure it probably went down if it called for that, but he was more about the money. He bought a lot of clubs. He like getting fly. He like dealing with females, and he really like feeding people and taking care of the hood. Like he gave a lot of money to the hood. Like they said, Nut would give out money, buy toys for the kids, bail people out of jail, pay people rent. And I feel like that's what's missing nowadays. Like back then, people had love for each other, but they had love for Nut because of the things he was doing for the people. You can't be out here if you in this game just having people starving and you the only one getting money. Because that's when the BS come in. That's when people start robbing. That's when people feel like they got to get you. People start kidnapping people because you got people out here hungry and you making all the money. But he made it where as though everybody could eat. You see what I'm saying? Of course, he probably had the most money because he was the man. But wasn't nobody on his team starving. Now, I don't condone, making kids hustle for you and stuff like that. But we got to think about it. At this time, that was going on. That was going on everywhere. Like, kids was young. I mean, history repeats itself because kids still out here hustling young. So, don't nothing change but the way people dress, really, and the presidents and the stuff that's on TV and maybe technology. But really, history just repeats itself, man. But Nut got a Vlad interview where he spoke on a lot of stuff and he spoke on, what was going on in the city back then. And this back when Baltimore was booming, like it was a different kind of city. It was a different time, like people was getting real money. The streets was eating. People was happy, and it seemed like after that, after they got rid of, I hate to say it this way, after they got rid of some of the big dudes that was in the city kind of fell apart because the only people that cared about the hood and the inner city was these so-called drug dealers. Because if you ride through Baltimore, you see vacant houses, neighborhoods that's condemned. People ain't lived in these houses in years. But back then, people bought the neighborhood. They rebuilt the houses. They gave it to their homies and gave it to their girlfriends and gave it to, their wives or whatever. But they kept the money in the neighborhood, Like I said, Peanut had clubs. He had a gym. He had a lot of things going. The gym, people could come in there, work out, box. He had a whirlpool. And like I said, he had a feature back then that could control the weather. Like, just think about that. This in the 70s and 80s. He could make it rain. He could make wind blow in there. Like, this dude was getting a lot of money, man. But we all know the end game of the streets, man. Like, it's dead or in jail. And like I said, this man got 50 years. The judge threw the book at him. It's by the grace of God that he survived that and he lived to come out and tell his story after 37 years in prison. So, I mean, y'all can hear this story for yourself. Y'all hear all the glitz and glam, like I said. But think about it. If you want to go out here and do this, if you want to go out here and be the man, can you handle that 50 years? That's what a lot of people don't understand. Everybody want to make money. Everybody want to make fast money. But then you go away for 30, 40 years and you come home and you ain't got nothing. So is it worth it to be living good for 10 years and be gone for 30 years? So it don't add up to me, man. But I just want to share this story with y'all. I felt like this would be a dope episode. And I really can't believe I ain't did no video on Peanut King yet, man, because he definitely a Baltimore legend. Like, people still talk about him to this day, In the city, man, hopefully Baltimore get more positive influences coming out the city. But they got to give us a chance. Like, they got to help us get on. Like, don't nobody come to Baltimore and put nobody on. I mean, we got a few people that's making certain moves, like Meat Mill when they got Chino and stuff like that with the dirt bikes and stuff like that. But 9 times out of 10, man, people don't really come to the city and look at us in that light. They look at Baltimore for the wire, for the corner and stuff like that. But there's a lot of talented people in Baltimore that can do more than just hustle. So, yeah, man, we're going to shed light on the city, man. And I'm also doing other cities. I'm doing other people. I got another segment coming up. So if you got any video ideas, anybody you want me to talk about, they might be from your city, hit me up and I'll add them to another segment that I'm going to be doing. If you like the video, hit that like button. I love y'all, family. Your comments. I'm out.